Hey guys, welcome back to the Delvin podcast. This is the low equity edition. Today we're joined by Jeison and Dima. You guys are familiar with Dima. Jeison is a first timer. So Jeison, since you are the first timer here, I'd love to spend a couple minutes with you, get to know you. Tell me a little bit about where you're from and how people can reach out to you, contact you, work with you.
Yeah. Well, I'm based in Chicago. Grew up here. I'm pretty, I guess, I wouldn't say early on in my real estate journey, but I'm still kind of trying to figure out what that looks for me, what I want to get involved in. I know SubTo has been huge for me. I've been in SubTo now for like about a year. I'm a big attender on the Closures Cafe, so I've been watching a bunch of their videos. I watched a lot of like your low equity stuff. So yeah, I mean, my numbers here on screen, probably the best way to reach me. I'm still working on my socials, so I'll be back, but I'll share all of that kind of good stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think right now I'm kind of looking for, people I can partner with, people I can learn from, people I can, just kind of pick your brain as much as I can.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us. I really do appreciate it. I love when new people come on. Dennis is joining us as well. Dima, while I get Dennis all set up, welcome back, first of all. Did you find out where you have to catch a carp to marry a woman?
Oh, no, I was going to do that after session.
Okay. Well, tell us a little bit about yourself. What are you looking for in your business?
Hey, guys. My name is Dima. I invest in real estate in Central Florida. I'm starting up my wholesale operation. I have buyers that are good to go for traditional wholesaling, and I can move creative properties as well. I have a low equity acquisition, like a mirror wrap strategy. Good to go. Can sign all the contracts. So I'd be happy to JV with anybody that has a property they come across on market, low equity, or off market wholesaling. And I'll send you my buy box if you reach out to me at dima@dlmcap.com or 412-759-5116. On top of that, I have a tax and accounting firm called Fat Wallet Tax, and we help real estate investors save money on taxes. So please do reach out to me if you need any tax, bookkeeping, or accounting help. And yeah, look forward to working with you guys. Appreciate it.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, Dima. I was going to mention it for you if you didn't. That's a huge value add. If you guys are looking for any sort of real estate CPA help or any other CPA help whatsoever, reach out to Dima.
Fat Wallet Tax.
Dennis, thanks so much for joining us. I'm going to get you over a list here in a second. While I'm doing that, would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how people can work with you?
Yeah, can you all hear me okay?
We got you.
Super cool. So I'm Dennis. I am in Northeast, specifically South Jersey, Philadelphia tri-state area. I'm a unicorn agent. Me and my wife, we have been working with lots of investors, wholesalers in helping dispo, also do our own fix and flip properties here in South Jersey. This year, in 2025, I'm on a venture to acquire my first pad split. So I'm very active in finding that property in Philadelphia. Has to be in Philadelphia because that's where pad split city limits is. So I am putting out contracts to wholesalers as well as realtors and working through that process. My goal is to get it up and running by April, and that's about me.
Well, thank you so much. I just sent you a list, and since you weren't here earlier when I was explaining this to Jeison, Dima's been here before, by the way. Let me explain to you the process that we use here. So the list that I just sent over to you is from our sponsor called RocketBotLeads.ai. What they do is they get us day one MLS direct on market low equity leads. So we don't have to wait for PropStream or Batch to aggregate the data after a week or two. We get it on day one. So the conversation is a little bit different in the sense that it's really relationship driven. What we want to do here is explain to the agents that we're calling what exactly it is that we do, how we do it, maybe even see if they've done a transaction like that before so that we can hopefully educate them and be an option at some point down the road. Dennis, I'm kind of curious because a lot of people don't know this. What is a unicorn agent? You mentioned that you were one.
Yeah, unicorn agent is basically someone that not only works with investors and really understands how to work with investors, is someone that's going to be creative when it comes to putting the deal together. So most agents are very, I guess, board driven. I'll call it locally here, meaning that they follow the boards that ties to their broker. And they are essentially transactional agents, meaning that they have a marketing system. They might have process that they follow pretty sold, but it's traditionally really attracting other agents to bring in buyers or have their own buyers. When a unicorn agent comes in, is someone that is able to look at a product and say, okay, well, this is not going to be the best option. Sell it that traditional way. We might want to either do a creative deal here where predominantly we take over the mortgage if it's seller financing, or SubTo. If it's seller financing, obviously work with the seller to define a strategy for them to exit. But obviously, as you mentioned, low equity, that's going to be where there is a mortgage in place. So predominantly, unicorn agents are really focused in being creative when it comes to a situation for the seller, if there's an agent involved, and also the investor that might be part of the deal as well.
Yeah, I love that. I think that the unicorn agent tag is an interesting one in the real estate business, just because I think that a unicorn agent, if you do have the opportunity to work with one, is going to have much more access to different ways to help you either buy a deal, sell a deal, or just work with you in general. So I highly encourage people to work with Dennis and also other unicorn agents in your area. Dennis and Jeison, Dima has asked to reserve the Orlando leads on the list because he's looking for his own home in Orlando. So why don't we do this? Jeison, you can start from the bottom of the list. Dima, you can start from the top. Dennis, why don't you start from about the middle or so, and we'll just reserve the Orlando leads for Dima to call. And so what we do here,
I don't have the list yet. Where did you send it through? You said you sent it to me.
I sent it to.
Was it my email? Was it my?
Yep, it was your email, your Gmail. Check your spam just in case.
Got it.
And Jeison and Dennis, what we do here is while we're calling, we mute our app here. And then when you get on the phone with an agent, unmute so we can hear and provide you guys with feedback. Sound good? Awesome. Let's get rolling.
Good.
Let's hear some good phone calls today. I know that Dennis has to leave here in about 40 minutes or so we won't be offended when you hop off, Dennis. Trust me.
Appreciate the opportunity.
Thanks for coming.
Hey, Tony. I was actually looking to speak with Jenny. I think she has a property listed.
Yeah, she's my partner, but she's not available. But how can I help?
Oh, do you guys have a property listed on Urbino Lane in Orlando, Florida?
We do.
Okay, great. I just came across it on Realtor, and I was curious to find out about it. I'm actually looking for a property like this in that area.
Are you okay? And is this specifically the Bella Vita area, or just looking in like East Orlando?
I'd be lucky to get anything in Orlando at this point. This is Eastern Orlando. I'm not really too familiar. I was looking more towards like Hunters Creek.
Creek is more what we call South Orlando.
Yeah, right.
However, I mean, it's just a little bit more west of where this property is located. So this is, where are you from, by the way?
I'm in Sebring, Florida at the moment.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. So this is, so basically, if you know I-95, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is going to be like closer to I-95. Now, when I say closer, I don't mean like, don't think it's anywhere close to you. I'm 30 minutes away from it. But that's what we consider when you're getting into Orlando. That's what we consider the easternmost part of Orlando, and that's where this property is located.
Yeah,
You
I
head
see.
more west and south. That's where you get to like the Hunters Creek, where you'll be close to like Universal and all those attractions and stuff down there. The airport's in between the two, so like Hunters Creek and East Orlando, the airport's dead smack in the middle.
Great. Yeah, I'm looking at it on the map right now. It looks a little bit off to the west, which is fine. That's not a deal breaker for me. Have you guys had a lot of interest? Is this property like newer on the market?
It just came on the market, yes.
Just came on the market. Okay, I gotcha. So what's been going on with the seller? It looks like they haven't owned it all that long.
Say that one more time. You broke up.
Oh, I was saying it looks like they haven't owned it all that long. Is it, what's the reason for them selling so soon?
They literally have just decided to get something a little bit bigger. So they bought it back in 2022.
Okay.
And it's, I wouldn't say necessarily a starter home, but it's close to a starter home.
Yeah.
And they decided they wanted something bigger. So, and in 22 when they bought it, they had a new roof put on it, all that good stuff. It's in great shape too. So.
Okay, sounds great. And I'm seeing an HOA fee. Is it $227 a month?
So it averages out to $227 per month.
Okay.
However, hold on one second, let me pull that up for you. So in that area, there's two HOAs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's one for like the main area out there, and then there's also one for Timber Springs. So in combination, it comes out to about $227 a month, which is $143 for one of them and then $84 for the other.
Okay, I gotcha. And what kind of restrictions do they have with the HOA? Is there any rental restrictions?
The only rental restriction in there is going to be you can't do short term. You can only do long term. So 7+ months or 8.
So no Airbnbs, essentially.
Correct. Yeah, East Orlando and in general, you really can't. If you're looking for that, you really want to go to like the Polk County area, like Kissimmee, Davenport, Champions Gate. That's where they have a lot of those.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've been looking in those areas as well, but I'm looking for something that I can purchase for myself. I'm a business owner, and that I can purchase for myself and also rent out on like a long-term rental, more so than short-term. So I wonder if, this might work. Do you know? Sorry, looking at the photos here. Do you know if they'd be open to doing something like seller financing or any creative financing, or are they only looking for a traditional sale at this point in time?
I think they'd be open to it, but I would have to present it to them and see what they say.
Okay, I gotcha. Because I was thinking it's a little difficult for me to get a traditional mortgage because I'm a business owner and my business is fairly new. I don't have a lot of tenure. But I do invest in real estate, and one of the strategies we use is to do like a mirror wrap or a wraparound mortgage. Basically, we pay the mortgage for the people, but I think they still have some equity in this property, so we'd probably structure it to give them some money for their equity as well. If they'd be open to that, I'd be happy to like underwrite the property and send you a proposal.
Yeah, if you want to send it over, that'd be great. You can send it right to our email address that's listed there on the MLS.
Okay, I have here JW. I don't know. This is probably Jenny's, right?
Yeah, you can send it to that one. It will come to us.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'll have my underwriter put like a underwriting sheet together and see what we can do for this. Would you happen to be able to share a mortgage statement with me so we don't have to use like approximate numbers? We could use the actual numbers.
I wouldn't be able to share that unless they are okay with it. So I would say
okay,
for
gotcha.
your request, I can request it from them and go from there.
Go from there. Okay, sounds great. Well, I appreciate you taking my call. I'll do that and I'll send it to Jenny and we'll stay in touch. Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Just as a heads up, I just spoke to Stint, but I didn't want to take it off me because Dima was talking. So, that's I didn't make a connection.
You're great. You're awesome. So let's spend a couple minutes talking about Dima's phone call here. Let's give him some feedback. Dima, before we do that, tell me a little bit about what you thought about that phone call.
I thought it was interesting. I thought I jumped maybe into creative financing a little too soon, but he responded more or less positively to it. And I was like, okay, great. Let me see what I can do from here. I noticed that it's not a straight subject to, because they would still have about $30,000 in perceived equity at this asking price. So I was gonna maybe open up a dialogue with actually underwriting it, and then seeing if we can send a proposal out and how they would respond, or just gauging general interest. So maybe this is like a starting point to a further discussion.
I absolutely agree with that. Dennis and Jason, what did you guys think about Dima's call? Let's give him some really good feedback.
Yeah, no, I thought that was really smooth. I mean, like you weren't trying to sell him necessarily. Definitely building rapport, kind of trying to figure out the motivation. So, yeah, that was a really good phone call.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, I actually did not
hear
hear his phone call, unfortunately, because I was talking to an agent. But I can talk about my phone call with an agent. Happy to do that.
Tell us about your call.
So I've been doing this for a while, right? So I'm coming across more experienced. I called the agent. I addressed him by their name. Hi, Teresa. My name is Dennis. I'm calling about the property. So-and-so. Is it still available? Yes, it's available. Are you an agent? I am an agent, but I'm not an agent in the state. I'm an investor. We buy all over the country. We own lots of properties all over the country, and we're looking to get into this market. She goes, okay, great. I'm like, tell me more about the property. She told me about the property. I'm like, super cool. So I just want to understand if the owner is open to owner financing, seller financing, creative option. And I'm like, before you answer it, are you familiar with what that is? She's like, I am familiar. Unfortunately, they're not, because there's 3 investors on this, and unfortunately, this will not work. I'm like, not work now or never work? She's like, never work. Okay. I'm like, okay, super cool. I'm like, we buy all over the country. We have a bunch of properties that we have acquired through this method. We love working with agents. We pay commission to agents. Do you have any other properties currently in your portfolio, something coming up that is going to fit this criteria? She said, I might have something coming up. I'm like, great, take down my name, my number, reach out, and we can definitely have a follow-up conversation. That was a conversation.
Nice. Dennis, are you Russian?
Yeah.
Nice. Dima, you guys have something in common, I guess, then, right?
Well, actually, I speak Russian, but I'm Ukrainian technically, because I was born in Ukraine.
All right, we'll put a divide between you guys then on the screen when we air this thing live. Okay, Dima, great job. A couple areas of feedback here. I wrote down a couple different things here.
Could I mention one thing that I think would have been good is to confirm his name and get his contact information. I think going through Jenny, she'll be like, who is this? And then you have the whole like, oh, I talked to, and I forgot his name already. That was a terrible thing that I did. I didn't write down his name.
You know, it's funny.
Do you have his name?
I didn't even hear, but sometimes the simplest things are the hardest, right?
Yeah.
Sorry for that. We can help you find out who that person was. I agree with you,
Mike.
I agree with you that you need to spend a little bit more time, I think, on why you're looking to purchase the way you're purchasing before you drop the bomb about buying creatively. Right.
I kind of surprised myself when I dropped it.
Well, what you did is you just kind of reversed it. That's all you did. So, you know, instead of saying, hey, I need to buy creatively, basically, or what'd you say? You said, I'm a business owner. I'd like to buy creatively. The reason I want to buy creatively is because of X, Y, and Z.
I took your advice from last time.
Yeah. And I think that communicating very strongly why you need to buy that way is going to be super, super important, but front load that as much as possible before you start to explain how you plan to buy creatively, right? Hey, I'm a business owner. You know, I have a lot of cash to put as a down payment, right? It's that kind of value add. As an agent, Dennis, I can imagine if someone comes to you and says, hey, I have a large down payment, you're like, ooh, okay, interesting, right? Mm-hmm. So it's going to be a little bit of an easier transition into, you know, we're a relatively new business. I have a lot of cash behind us, but it's difficult for me to qualify conventionally. Would the seller be open to us possibly taking over payments? You know, and with that in mind, I think simplifying the explanation as much as possible is going to be crucial. So I've heard people in the past few days say things like mirror wraps or wraparound mortgages or whatever they're calling it.
Yeah, I shouldn't have said that.
Yeah, simplify it, right? So
that's why I backtracked and I said like we'll essentially pay their mortgage for them because I knew I just hit them with a couple of jargon.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yeah, exactly. So, just replace those, right? So instead of saying we'll buy on a wraparound mortgage or mirrored financing, we'd love to take over the payments if the sellers are open to. Is that something that they might consider? Really, really simple. And then they're going to typically say, well, what do you mean? And then you kind of go into it, right? Those are the 2 notes that I made. So
I have one more thing. What was it? I thought that I kind of like, as far as next steps, I kind of committed to to underwriting it, and I'm not sure I should have done that without gauging further interest first. So maybe I kind of went a little bit ahead of myself, right? Like, I don't really want to underwrite this property thoroughly, and I don't really want to put a proposal out, although I know it might spark like a better conversation. But maybe I wouldn't have to do all that work if he just went in and checked with the owner and got back to me and let me know if they're even interested at all, right?
So Jeison, you're shaking your head. Tell me what you're thinking when Dima's talking about underwriting before seeing if there's any interest.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good point. To what he already mentioned, it's like you don't want to do all that legwork and all of that kind of analysis before you even realize, like, hey, is there even any interest, right?
Yeah, and then the owner says, "Oh no, we're never interested in this."
Yeah, there's no point. You did all that extra kind of legwork for no reason.
Would you guys mind if I played? Go ahead, Dennis.
Yeah, I'm kind of like a different, maybe not say different mindset. I do agree, but I think it depends where you are in your journey. I think the biggest challenge a lot of people have is really seeing what's a good deal and how they're going to be able to sell the deal or even acquire the deal, right? And like I said, it really depends where you are in your journey. If you're fairly new, I think doing more underwriting is a good thing, but it depends on your schedule, right? So
yeah, I don't have a lot of time right now. I kind of created a work with myself.
But then the question is, are you good at underwriting?
Yeah, my business partner, Linda Kane, she's an amazing underwriter, and she's a top tier certified TC as well. So she's kind of got that skill in the bag. I'm very lucky to have her. And all I have to do is go to her and say, I have this potential property. Let's underwrite it together. And then she shows me.
Yeah, so you don't have that problem. But some people are going to be watching this. I would say that put in the reps, right? If you're new and this is the opportunity for you to really understand deals, learning how to underwrite if you don't have somebody what Dima has, that's pivotal. So I would say it really depends what point you are in real estate. At this point, for me, I'm not going to underwrite anything until I have that acceptance and agreement with the investor, because, or better yet, the agent, because my time is really to go through the numbers and find that property. Because if I had to underwrite it, I know how to underwrite, so it's not a problem to me. But I think for someone who is fairly new to it, maybe spending more time looking at these deals and underwriting it will just make you more confident when you get on the phone. Because for me, when I get on the phone, like, I kind of disable the agents right away because I relate to them. I'm an agent myself. I'm not an agent in your market, right? So then right away, that's kind of like we're almost on the same level, because you can't be like, oh, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm an actual agent, right? Mm-hmm. So I think you have to use the tools that you have with what you have and where you are in your current journey.
I love that. I'm going to take it. Sorry, Dima, do you mind if I just hop in here 1 second? Yeah. I'm going to take it a step further than Dennis's a little bit, okay? Because he's right. I'm going to tell you what I would do in this situation. And I think that before I do that, let me say one more thing before I forget. Remember how you're presenting yourself in the phone call. What you said initially was that you're looking to buy a property for yourself, and you're saying that you're going to send it to your underwriters to underwrite. And you use the term like we, as in the company. So I think in terms of your pitch, stick with I am looking to personally purchase a property for myself. And then so you don't even have to say things like underwrite, right? Keep it super simple. But in terms of underwriting, largely the sheet has done the underwriting for you, right? We have a really good idea on that sheet what the interest rate is, what type of loan it is, obviously where it is, what the cash to seller could be, right? And so you don't have to do a ton of underwriting. What I would do is take a look at it and say, this is probably the ballpark number that the seller is looking to walk away with at closing. If it's 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, whatever that is.
It's negative in this case.
Yeah, exactly. So I would even bring that up. I would say something like, typically, the types of homes that I'm targeting, just because of the way that I'm buying, are low equity. It looks like this one might even be negative. What's going on here? Right. And then let the agent kind of come back and say, well, whatever they're going to say.
What's interesting? That perceived equity is positive, but the cash to seller is negative.
It's because of fees and commissions.
Mm-hmm.
So when you take out closing costs and commissions,
it still goes over that much. Yeah, that makes sense.
That goes away pretty quickly. They take out 8%. That final column takes out 8%.
What did you think about that HOA fee? Is that a little?
Florida's always going to have HOA fees. Not always, but a lot of the time.
At $227 a month, that's probably going to eat into any whatever like long-term profit you might be making.
And that's a good point too, right? If you're looking for a property for yourself, do you have to worry about short-term rentals or HOAs or Airbnbs?
I don't want to do Airbnbs. I want it to cash flow or break even on a long-term rental.
Right, but there's a difference too between buying for yourself to live in and then buying for yourself to rent as a landlord, right?
Right. So I want to live in it, but have the option to rent it whenever I want to leave. And do
that's exactly how I would present it then. Okay. Hey, one thing I do is I'll buy a property wherever I live. And then typically if I have to move, I'll keep that as a long-term rental. What are the restrictions that I might have in this neighborhood as a long-term rental or a short-term rental or whatever?
That's well said. Send me this recording, Mike, if you could.
You got it. All right, let's keep dialing, guys. Good job.
Are we back to calling?
Yep, back to calling.
Me?
You now, yes.
Hey, this is Dennis. I'm calling about your property, 795 Durr Terrace. And
Here. Yeah.
can you tell me a little bit more about it?
Yes. So, sorry, one second, sir. So sorry. Okay, here we go. Sorry, just finishing something up. So the owner, she purchased it a few years ago, and she planned on making it a primary residence for herself. And because she was going to move out here full time, and then she ended up changing her mind after she stripped some of the inside separating walls, the drywall, and got it all ready to go as far as the remodel. And then and yeah, because she wants to travel around, she's got some other plans that aren't leading her out here full time anymore.
Gotcha.
And so that's kind of the brass tacks.
Okay. So I'm basically an investor from out of state. I'm looking to get into California. I own properties all around the United States. I am an agent in a different market, so I'm not an agent in California. Can you tell me a little bit about the current situation of as far as your offers? Have you had any offers that came in? You're fairly new to the market, correct?
Yeah, fairly new to the market. We listed it last year, I believe, and last year we did end up getting offered, but they were too low. at the time, initially, right when we came on the market, I think we got an offer in the threes, like in the mid threes, and then the buyer never saw the property, and he, I guess, wrote up like 6 different places or something crazy like that. So right now, though, no offers. I'm doing an open house tomorrow. I have a showing scheduled tomorrow as well with another agent, and then I was told somebody's going to be showing it next Friday.
Super cool. So the way that I acquire a lot of my properties is I follow creative option, which is predominantly owner financing, lease option. Are you familiar with that?
Absolutely, yeah. I've done a ton of those.
Oh, super cool. I love talking to agents that have done that. It makes the conversation a little bit more easier. Is it something that she's willing to entertain?
You know what? I don't think so, but I'm happy to submit anything. Realistically, if you have specific terms in mind, your down payment, interest rate, how long you want her to carry for, if there's a balloon payment or anything like that, if you shoot me a text with it, I'll pass it along to her.
Yeah. So what is I can put together an LOI and get that over to you.
Yeah.
Super cool. Now the rate on it is 309, which is super lucrative to me. Obviously, we know that's not the market. And she's not living there, right? So is the property vacant?
No, she's not.
Okay, super cool. All right. Well, Paul, thank you so much for taking my call. I'm going to go ahead and submit, like I mentioned, the LOI here shortly. And let's see if we can put a deal together. Look forward to collaborating with you further.
Right on.
Thank you for taking the call.
So much.
Take care.
You got it. Thank you.
Good job, Dennis. Tell us what you thought about that call.
I made sure that he knew what creative was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. On that point, by the way, the only feedback that I would have for you on that call is I think that you missed a little bit of an opportunity to go down that path with him, right? To kind of put yourself on the same side of the booth with him, if you will. And, anytime an agent knows about creative, someone like you, for example, if I call you up and you know creative, just like you said, that's a unique scenario, right? And so I love speaking with that agent about, hey, what kind of deals have you done? I'm just kind of curious. It's so rare for me to run into an agent who actually does what I do. I think you could have built really great rapport with him. I don't think you've missed anything necessarily. Like I don't think that the objective was missed because you didn't do that, but I think that you really could have solidified that really, really strongly.
Appreciate the feedback. Absolutely.
Jeison, what'd you guys think?
Now we need to underwrite it.
Yeah. Yep. Jeison, Dima, what did you guys think?
I thought similar to what you said. I think he was more like he was gonna give you even more information because he was all right with staying on the phone with you, and I feel like you got off the phone kind of rather quickly at the end. You were like, okay, thanks, bye. You know what I mean?
Sometimes that's just a stylistic thing too, right? I'm the same way. I kind of want to move in, move out. I think that's
I kind of liked it, but then at the same time, I was like, I think the guy was ready to reveal more about like their motivation, why they're moving, and like what they're looking for. Like, are they moving to a new home? Are they not looking to purchase? Like information that could be helpful in putting together a LOI.
Yeah, I think the information that he has shared that she's not living in the home, so home is vacant, and she's been trying to. I think he said that she was trying to be an investor on it. It didn't work out. Now she's trying to sell it. But absolutely, I think more pillars would be great. Yeah.
Jeison, what are your thoughts on Dennis's phone call?
Yeah, I mean, I think to piggyback a bit off of what Dima said, like, just as soon as he answered the phone and he realized like the address you were calling about, I could almost like see the excitement through his voice. I was like, oh, okay, he's like he wasn't expecting a call for that address, and the fact that you called, he's like, yes, let's go, right? So I think with that, I feel like he definitely explored a little bit more. I could see like some of the motivation, but I think just to kind of pick his brain a little bit on like, why are you so excited, or like, why? Yeah, I mean, again, I'm fairly new, so like I'm also learning a bunch. Like your phone call was also kind of nice to see how you like approach the conversation and started the rapport building. But I did notice like that guy was so excited to talk to you about that address. So I think that was really cool.
Yeah, and I think to some extent, it's my strategy is kind of get off the phone quickly because I don't know anything about the property, to be honest with you about it. Like I always like to have more of cards, and that's the reason why I throw out the things that I throw out to kind of build rapport and level up with people. And I want to have, I don't want to say the upper hand. That's not what I say, but really be kind of relevant to that person and being an individual. Like I'm making a lot of these calls, which I'm sure he's doing as being an agent. That kind of like what I was trying to sort of model. But absolutely feedback, love it. Thank you for sharing. Because obviously I look at it from one way. You guys can definitely approach it from a different way.
Yeah, good call,
I
Dennis.
think you did really good staying in control of the conversation.
Definitely.
And asking the right questions.
Yeah, that's definitely a strength of yours, Dennis, right? You know that it's controlling the conversation, right? And you're also coming from a perspective of agent to agent as opposed to agent to investor, which is a little bit of a different power dynamic. And so you do a really great job of maintaining that that same level of experience and expertise. So I love your style. Good job.
Can I share something? This is for newbies as well. And speaking to a lot of newbies myself, I find that a lot of times people are unsure. They're a little bit scared when they're having the conversation. Look, we're always there. When I get on the phone these days, I have the money to invest. I've invested before, right? So it's like kind of going to the gym and being able to lift that 300 pounds because you've been lifting for the past 3 years. And everybody can get there, but you just have to put in the work and be consistent with it. Because if you hear my initial calls, like I was just like, but when you continually keep doing this and not necessarily staying in control, I think it also ties to your personality, but being engaged. And to some extent, I was mirroring him a little bit, and that goes a little bit more deeper into it. But really making sure that you feel assured of yourself. Doesn't matter where your situation is, even if you have absolutely nothing, you have no real estate, you have no money, no nothing, but you present that persona where like, you know what's going on. You're able to come in, you're able to address his issue because his issue, the property did not sell. I think even if you're a newbie, you will be able to get a lot better with calls when talking to agents. Because remember, those agents could have part-time jobs. Those agents could be just brand new in the business. That could be their listing from their brother, their sister, their, whoever. And they could be just as scared as you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's a great point. That's a great point. Your expertise, your experience definitely shines through, Dennis. And I think that I love the advice of, making sure that you do your best to be as confident as you can. And one thing I always tell people too, with regard to these types of calls, is that our community has people like you, Dennis, who can always help them, who have the experience that they can lean on and say, my partner and I have done these sorts of things before, right? So don't be afraid to lean into the idea that there's parts of our community, people in our community that you can always lean on to help. So I love that.
So I'm not going to make a call. I'm just going to wait to give feedbacks because I won't be able to hear because I got to go after this. We actually have a closing today. We just got done, so I'm going to go get some sushi.
Nice, very nice.
Congrats,
let's see if we can get Jeison and Dima on a phone call to give them some feedback before you have to hop off.
No one's answering the phone today. Let's see.
I'm looking for a property to purchase in the Orlando area, and I was wondering if this might be a good fit. Can you tell me a little bit about the property?
Well, it needs a new roof.
Mm-hmm.
The roof's 20 years old. It seems to be in fine shape, but you won't be able to get insurance with that roof, so you have to factor that in.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also got an old air conditioner, which works fine, but it's also old.
Yeah, gotcha. Is that something that the seller is willing to pitch in on?
That's why it's priced the way it is. It's priced well under market because probably going to have to go in there and put $10,000-$15,000 in a roof
Mm-hmm.
before you can get insurance, and the air conditioner won't last forever.
Gotcha. Did it get hit by the hurricanes?
No, I don't think that was a problem. It's just an old roof.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Have you had any other people calling with interest on this property? Have you had a lot of hits?
It's been never ending with investors and people hoping it's a giveaway and whatever. You just have to go into it knowing you'd have to put a roof on it because you won't get insurance otherwise.
Yeah, I noticed that's the first thing you mentioned. So you've been getting a lot of calls from investors. Are the sellers open to working with investors?
Well, they're not going to go any lower on the price. It's already a giveaway price, so it's already dirt cheap.
Gotcha. So you expect to move this one fairly quickly at this price?
Fairly quick, yeah. I'll be shocked if it doesn't.
Okay, gotcha. Well, curious if they'd be open to creative offers on this property.
No. They don't want to carry any financing or do anything like that.
Okay, gotcha. Well, it sounds like you're in good shape, Rick. I appreciate taking my call. Thanks. Bye.
Dennis, since you're on a time crunch, tell us what you thought about Dima's call.
Talk about the confidence. I could just speak from my perspective. I felt like I've done a little bit better in that department. I think you asked the right question. Yeah, the confidence, just kind of and maybe once again, it's just persona, how I approach it, but that's the feedback that I would give you there. Gotcha. I found that if I was the agent and I was talking to you, I would think that something's kind of and I talk to a lot of sellers, and let me tell you, talking to a lot of sellers is very, very difficult. A lot of buyers, because they're in their own world. That's what I would say. I think you asked the right questions. The other thing that what I do is I press people why they're not open to. I want to make sure I qualify them first. Hey, are you familiar with? And a lot of people do not know what is SubTo or seller financing, but most people know lease option and owner financing. They do know those two things. So I would ask the question, hey, are you familiar with owner financing or lease option? Yes, I am. Okay, super cool. And then what I do is I add that credibility, and you could say me and my partner. You can kind of expand a little bit. That adds your credibility into it. So then the agent goes, okay, well, this person has done this, and this kind of starts to level you on the same playing field. Remember, that's my ideal way how I approach things. And I think that, once again, you asked the right questions, but that's what I would have really focused on, is to see if he knew what it is, and then ask. He said no, and next question would be, I sometimes say not now or never, or I'll say something, okay, is there a reason why? Just curious.
I think put it on there. He mentioned that it's a giveaway price already, and he expects it to move really fast. That was his reasoning for why.
Yeah, that's cool. And that's what I would say is okay, well, then that's the question that I would come back with, is that now or never? What happens if you can move it? Is that something that's worth a conversation in the future? And then it's a follow-up. But I think you did a good point.
That's a good point, Dennis.
Jeison, thoughts?
Yeah, there wasn't the conversation was so short, but I think a lot of that just kind of had to do with not having that rapport being built just yet. It felt a little kind of transactional. I'm not sure. Me personally, I probably would have panicked too. Don't get me wrong. Being so short and just kind of very abrupt, it it felt like you rushed off the phone because he was so short. And kind of like Dennis said, I feel like you could have tried a little bit more, but I would have done the exact same thing. So like I can also see why that'd be a little difficult.
Yeah, I think all comments are correct, right? I also love to push back as much as I possibly can. I think a lot of that comes with comfort, right? Because what happens is if you feel comfortable enough to push back, it means that you have the experience and the knowledge to understand how you're going to respond to their response, right? And that just comes with time. That's all that is. And so push maybe a little bit more as you become more comfortable. One thing I would always do, regardless of whether you want to get off the phone or not, is always remember to ask if they have anything else that you can possibly take a look at.
Yeah, for
an
sure.
option. That's the only other thing that I would make sure you ask. And, you can say something like, I know that you've had a lot of investors trying to get this at a steal of a price, probably a cash offer or something like that. What I'm looking for is X, Y, and Z. Do you have anything else that might make sense for us to take a look at, whether it's something that you personally have coming up or maybe even someone in your office? Just make sure you ask the question.
100%.
Yep.
As quickly as I realized that this one might not be an actual lead or prospect for me, like I should have pivoted to other properties, with what he's got.
Yeah, that's why this is called a practice, right? We get better on every single phone call. So good job.
As Jason said, I just wanted to get off the phone in that particular case.
Look, I don't blame you. He was not a fun agent to talk to.
And yeah, it's also like this, when I double dial or triple dial and the person picks up and they're like, hello, they're like, why are you bothering me?
Yeah.
It is your bank.
Yep. Be prepared in that situation for someone who's a little feisty, right? And be prepared to be feisty back. I think people, Dennis, maybe you can attest to this as an agent. I think that if you call an agent, they pick up after the second or third ring, they're a little bit feisty. I think they actually respect the person. They're like not arguing, not being in conflict at all, but just being confident, right? Speaking with that level of confidence, saying, look, I'm sorry to bother you. I'm really interested in this property. I'm glad we could finally connect.
Does that not lower your status, the first thing you said? I'm sorry to bother you.
Yes, it does. Thank you for catching that. Absolutely.
So what I will say to that is that this is something that not new, but as you get more experience, really pay attention and model, right? So if they're short with you, you're short with them. If they're dragging things out, you want to be as closely on the same playing field with them as possible. And then at some point of the call, you want to start to take a little bit over, right? Where you're kind of putting them in a situation where they're like, oh man, I need this person. I'm going to be sitting next to the email, waiting for that email to come through if there's a follow-up to that. So I would definitely mention that.
Mm-hmm. Yep, good point. Jason, let's get you on a phone call.
See if we can get Jason on the call.
I know that sometimes, especially on a day like this, people don't answer the phone, but let's try to get you on a phone call.
You have reached Tracy Green. I'm sorry that I missed your call.
Dennis, while Jason's dialing, I'm curious, what do you do to encourage people to call you back? Let's say, for example, that situation happens to you. Some that goes directly to voicemail, or it rings and it goes to voicemail. What do you do to get them to call you back?
Hey, this is Dennis. Give me a call back.
Very sophisticated. I love it. Where'd you learn
Who's
that?
Dennis? What's Dennis? I mean, do I know Dennis? Man, was it in Vegas, Dennis?
So what you're saying is that if you come off as we're buddies, for example, they're going to wonder who this Dennis person is.
Yes.
Yep. What about texting? Do you text after you call?
Yeah, this is Dennis. Call me back.
Hey, Kel team. This is Jason. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. I'm calling about your property, 113 Callow Hill Lane. Is that correct?
Yes.
Awesome. I'm a out-of-state investor. I'm actually calling because we're trying to break into this market. It looks like this one actually just came on the market. Yeah, I'm looking through. Oh, okay, awesome. Nice. I caught you early.
Mhm.
Cool. Do you mind if I just kind of ask you a couple questions about the property? I mean, it looks pretty brand new, but it looks like the owners haven't lived there all that long. Why are they moving?
Yeah, just it needed some more space, expanding their family, and we're ready for a little bit more yard. With it being a townhome, they just we did some more yard space.
Oh, gotcha. Well, congratulations to them. I'm assuming they're welcoming a new family member.
Yes.
Awesome. That's very exciting. Very cool. Cool. And is there an HOA? It looks like there is. 420. Is that accurate?
420 is the larger HOA for the entire community.
Okay,
and
so
that's quarterly. The townhome one is 110 per month.
110 per month, and then 420
Yeah.
quarterly. Okay, so there's a couple on here.
There's a pool. Yeah, there's a pool, clubhouse, gym, mailbox room, playground, number of amenities in the community.
Oh, awesome. So it kind of sounds perfect for like either a young couple or someone kind of trying to start a family, or even an established family. I mean, very family oriented, it sounds like.
I think it could suit a number of different people, families, and young adults, first time home buyers, people who are downsizing. Yeah, I think it checks a lot of boxes.
Gotcha. Okay. And so, like I mentioned, we're out of state. We'd probably be looking at this as like some kind of long-term rental or maybe even mid-term rental. With it being in an HOA, are there any kind of like restrictions on rentals or Airbnbs or anything like that?
Not to, in terms of Airbnbs, I can't speak to that, but I know that there are certainly rentals within the neighborhood. I'm happy to send you the covenants for the HOAs if you'd like.
Okay, for sure. Yeah, gotcha. And have you been approached a lot by other investors already, or am I kind of the first lucky person to get to talk to you today?
Yeah, just so far today, yes, the only investor.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, we'll definitely take a look at it. My business partner and I, we like to review a lot of kind of more out of state properties in a creative manner. So like we'll kind of see if we can come up with solutions that work for everybody. I'm not sure if anyone's approached you with any kind of creative financing, or if you know what that is or familiar with what that is.
Yeah, I will say that I think I anticipate that they will not be interested in anything subject to. So.
Oh, gotcha.
I'd be a little bit hesitant there. Other than that, very open.
So just to kind of piggyback off of that, are they just kind of trying to sell and move on from it?
Correct.
Got it. And you mentioned subject to. It's kind of rare when I come across an agent that even knows what that is. Have you done other?
We're getting a lot of calls on properties here for subject to, and there's just that's definitely something that we're getting more and more calls about.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. I mean, with the market changing and everyone's kind of chasing that lower interest rate, I can definitely see why. Yeah.
So
Have you closed subject to deals before?
I have not. Certainly there's been a lot offers made on clients' homes, but none of them have been accepted yet.
Gotcha. Okay. I mean, it doesn't sound like what we want to kind of move forward with will work for this home. But just kind of seeing that you are familiar with subject to, I'd love to kind of stay in contact with you. If you come across anything that you think might be more kind of creative focused, right? I'd love to be a resource.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, awesome. Well, I'll take your number down. I'll text you after this with my contact information, and then I can either follow up with you, or if you ever kind of come across something that might fit that criteria, then definitely give me a call. Like I said, we're buying stuff kind of all over the place. We're in Georgia, Florida, North Carolina, so yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Awesome, Kelsey. Well, you have a great rest of your day, okay?
Thanks. You too. Bye.
Okay.
Jason, great call.
I'm like shaking.
Look,
Sorry, give me 1 second. I turned the volume down so that they wouldn't hear it. Give me one. Okay, cool. There we go.
So first of all, I would never guess that you're shaking after the call. You actually came off confident to me. But guys, Dima and Dennis, what did you guys think about Jason's call?
I thought there was some shakiness, but I think he did a great job. I think that if you can win this, you will be unstoppable. One thing that I will say, and this is something that you might want to do, write down on a piece of paper what is the worst kind of scenario that can happen, and whenever you start to feel like you're shaking, look at that scenarios. They're going to scream at me. They're going to hang up on me. They're going to say that I don't know what I'm doing. They're going to tell me that I'm a scam artist, whatever that is. If you that out or somehow, have it in front of you, you're going to definitely not feel like that pressure of like, what is the other person thinking? The other thing I'll say is that in the midst of the conversation, when she said subject to, and I think you did a great job, which I didn't do, it's kind of went a little further on that. I do think that you probably change that a little bit. Most agents are not going to know when to call you, right? Like, so the feedback there should be, hey, I want to be a tool in your toolbox, but how you word that, that's something that you have kind of work in each situation. Because look, the reality is most agents are not going to call you, right? And also, when it comes to, I'm trying just to remember what she said was, you're subject to. I like to sometimes pivot to not, like if somebody knows that subject to, I'll just be like, well, how about lease option, right? Or other creative option. Because subject to is just one of many opportunities that you negotiate a deal, right? So
sure.
Lease option, and I'm talking about, in my local area, different states have different kind of situations. That might work for investors that you can actually resell and make money as well, right? So don't always just, like if it's just subject to, you can be like, yeah, that is one of our strategies, but we have others as well, like lease option or owner financing, which is pretty much the same thing, but you're kind of turning a little bit around and saying like, we cover a larger span. And I think what you should also add, which you did in the end, but I would have done a little bit earlier, like I'm an investor that with my partners all across the country or in different markets, whatever you feel comfortable saying that, because that will show her that you have done it, right? You have done it, and you have a process in place to make it a success story. Because at the end, in my opinion, all agents want is they want to have fiduciary responsibility to their sellers as part of the listing agreement. That's one, and two, they want to get paid.
Yeah. 100%. I agree with everything you said. I think a lot of it is going to come with just experience. Like I can, in the last probably like 6 months or so, I've probably haven't called nearly as many agents as I would like to. But yeah, I 100% agree.
Dima, what are your thoughts on Jason's phone call?
I thought it was a great call, Jason. I think you kind of eased into your nervousness in the middle of the call somewhere. I thought you sounded a little more nervous in the beginning.
Yeah.
And hence and I do this too, that's why I point this out, is you kind of lowered your status by saying, mind if I ask you a few questions, like things like that, like, yeah, you're on the phone with her. She expects you to ask some questions. I would just, ask the questions. I thought you caught that they're welcoming a new family member really well. That was nicely done. And overall, yeah, just practice, because I'm a little bit rusty myself. Like when I was calling for Matt's team, I was making, 20 calls a day. This is my first couple of the day, and I don't really call a lot of agents in between. Like right now, I'm focused more on connecting with buyers. But yeah, like with time, You will say things more concisely, and you will talk less than the agent. I noticed you were doing more talking than her, and she was doing more listening. And that's my only feedback, is you want her to be doing the talking and you to be directing the conversation. So
yeah,
that's
100%. I agree with that as well. I think I don't know like how to keep them talking. Like I struggle with that kind of, because I'll ask. I'm trying to get better at asking open-ended questions to kind of keep them talking and keep them on the phone. I feel like I ask very kind of like yes, no, or like once they give me the answer, it's like, what do I do now? You know? So yeah.
Yeah, open-ended questions.
Jeison, what's your end goal? Let's say, for example, you get a deal under contract. What's your end goal? Do you want to wholesale it to someone, make a quick fee? Do you want to use it as a rental? What's your ideal end goal when it comes to these phone calls, for example?
Yeah, I think initially I want to wholesale. I want to be able to build that, you know, that war chest. My end goal is buy and hold, right? But I can't afford that at the moment. I don't have the, you know, the war chest to confidently be able to kind of hold on and onto a property. So I want to wholesale initially to kind of build up that fund, build up the reps, build up my network, and then eventually my goal is to buy and hold.
Okay, cool. So
Hey,
you know, I've worked on this with Dima.
Hey, Jay,
Go ahead, Dennis.
Yep.
can I just comment here real quick? You know, the comment about the war chest, I'm just going to make a comment about that. When you build a war chest, then you're concerned about how you're going to go spend it, you know? So there's always a problem. Like, initially it's like, well, I need a war chest, but then it's like, I have this war chest, I want to lose it. How do I make sure that I preserve it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry, Mike.
That's true. No, I think that's a great point, Dennis. Thanks for saying that, actually, because I think that a lot of people they think that they may need to take steps 2, 3 to get to 4, for example, when sometimes they can just go to 4. It's just how exactly can you do that, right? So, you know, you may not need your own personal war chest, for example. Maybe you need a partner with a war chest, for example. So what I was going to say is I've worked on this with Dima, and I've worked on this with other people in the past. And I think what's really helpful anytime that you have a conversation with an agent as an investor is really pivoting your value proposition, your unique value proposition to the agent. Meaning that Dima's is going to be very different than mine. So is Dennis's, and yours is going to be different as well. And so I think that you really have to take some time to figure out what is that exactly. Let's say, for example, it's wholesaling, right? You can always come up with your own unique value proposition, partnering up with someone who you're going to sell deals to, right? So what I mean by this is keep your eyes and ears open for things that people are doing inside the community that you find to be drawn to in some way. You know, I think I've talked to Dima about this before. There was a woman who's done lots of calls with us before here, and she does the Golden Girls model, meaning that she'll buy a SubTo and she'll put older independent women in the homes. And the way that she pivots that conversation with the agents are much more engaged in that phone call, right? So think of how you can communicate what exactly it is that you're doing in a way that an agent's going to be much more likely to be engaged with you on the phone call, as opposed to, I'm an investor and I'm looking for a rental. And I'm not saying that you did that. I do that sometimes too. It's an easy fallback default kind of thing, but everyone else is doing that too. And the more and more people who are doing SubTo, especially wholesale SubTo, we need to find a way to differentiate ourselves from everyone else. And so, you know, we can work on that separately if you want. I'm happy to help you out and kind of walk you through it. But if you have a story of what exactly you're trying to accomplish and why you're trying to accomplish it, and you say that before you lead into, here's how I purchase the properties that I buy, engagement from the agent is going to be much more, it's going to be much stronger than it is if you don't do that, right? Like if I call up an agent and I say, hey, I'm an investor, I'm looking to buy a rental, can I buy your house SubTo? What do you think your response is going to be if you're the agent on that call, Jeison?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, oh, I've got better offers, or I have better things I'd like to entertain than that.
Yep. So here's one of mine. It's really simple. You can use it if you want, but mine is simply, hey, Jeison, my name is Mike. what I do is I buy homes, and my goal is to house people who are struggling to qualify traditionally. And basically what I want to do is just provide the opportunity of home ownership to people who typically wouldn't have that opportunity. And I noticed your listing here on 123 Main Street. Can you tell me a little bit about it? Right. I'm kind of leading with what I do and the value that I provide to the community. Mm-hmm. And then they're going to start to tell me about the property. I'm going to transition eventually into this is how I purchase the properties. And this is a great question for you to just kind of ingrain in your brain. It's a very open-ended question. And I'll kind of phrase it for you. So, Jeison, the way that I purchase homes is it's difficult for me as an investor to go get a DSCR loan or an investor loan. I'm going to pay really high rates if I do that based on the quantity that we're currently buying at. And so what I've done a lot recently is I've come in and simply taken over the payments on existing financing that's already in place. When I do that, by Dennis, I pay for your commission myself, so the seller doesn't have to. I also pay for all of the closing costs. Have you ever done a transaction like that before? That's not open-ended, right? It's yes or no. But the open-ended question here is, what would be your seller's thoughts on something like that? Mm-hmm. And they might say, "Oh, is this SubTo, or is this like a seller finance or a lease option?" They're gonna kind of go deep into their brain and think, "What is this familiar? What is this similar to?" Right? Yeah. And so that gives you an opportunity to say, no, it's, it's very, very similar to something like a seller finance. It's a little bit different. And, at this point in the listing, I know that you guys are brand new on market. You're probably not even willing to entertain something like this, and I don't blame you. But this is an option should you guys need it maybe 15, 30 days, 45 days down the road. I'd be happy to be a resource for you and explain to you how it could work that would make an advantageous situation for both you and for the seller. Mm-hmm. And you just start to ask these open-ended questions at the end of that. So what I would do is anyone who's doing more low equity phone calls or agent phone calls in general, I would start to work on your unique value proposition and then how you're going to pivot into how you're going to acquire, the property. Right? This is what I do. This is how I do it. What is your experience like in that type of a transaction? And then just take it from there. That's going to open up a really interesting line of questions. And you're going to come in as the expert, which is going to be really cool.
Yeah. No, I love that.
All right, cool. Hey, guys, we're a few minutes past the top of the hour here. Great job today, both of you guys. The lists that you guys have, those are yours to use. Call on them, practice, work them as you see fit. I'm always here if you guys need help. So is the entire SubTo community. Dennis is as well. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. Have a great weekend, and we will see you guys next time, okay?
Thank you, Mike.
Yep. Thanks, Mike.
Bye, guys.
You guys.
See you guys.